Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hot Pole Podcast, episode 124. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and joining me, as usual, is Mr. Liam Wright. Hello. Open mouth.
124, that's so many.
It is lots. And I'm drinking a huge glass of wine to celebrate. Cheers.
I'm drinking a huge thing of water.
You are indeed.
It's bigger than my head.
My
Apparently,
wine glass is not bigger than my head, which is good. But it's
I'm meant to be able to see where the level is, and I can't, so this is pointless. Oh, there you go. I'm up to 2 p.m.'s worth of water.
That's an interesting measurement.
Yep.
Yeah, I go through lots of those because I've got a smaller bottle, so I just refill.
Well, yeah, I had a small bottle, but I bought the big bottle today. So I was like, I want a big one.
The power kek.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds wrong because you know that kek is like lol in a lot of different languages.
Yeah.
The power lol.
The power lol. I mean, it is a power lol.
I suppose so.
Actually, it's like, it looks
getting bigger just from drinking.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, it looks nice, and like I think that it was like 16 quid or whatever. But like when you take this neoprene cover off, it's the cheapest bloody bottle ever inside it.
Yeah. Oh, I'll bet. I got one from Amazon that was £11, and it was great until I dropped it, and then it had a big hole in it, and not where you want it to be, where the mouth goes.
Oh, my favorite one is I bought one from Amazon that was meant to have a temperature gauge on the top, an LCD temperature gauge.
Right.
Like, oh, that's cool. It came broken.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's just a really expensive crap thermos.
Yeah. Just like most thermoses, but crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's been another busy week. My daughter's nursery has been closed because of COVID, so I've been at home all week looking after a child. Yay! And I've still managed to complete about 5 videos. Work, yes. Apparently YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streams, which makes no sense because we should have. Yeah, that's what it says, but I don't believe it because we seem to be streaming.
It'll never know.
We've had 0 drop frames, so that's kind of weird. But anyway, never mind. How is everybody in chat? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome. Make your presence known.
Evening.
If you've not seen the podcast before, we talk about this week's music tech news, whether it be computers, guitars, anything related to that world. And we tend to go through the news, or as we call it, the news. And then we take questions from the audience about whatever is on your minds, and we tend to discuss until we run out of steam. Apparently a little bit of video audio is cutting in and out. Strange. I will tell off Restream for being naughty. Apparently we should set the bitrate lower. Mucho bitrate lower. Lower. There it is. Okay, so there we go. Let's try that and see if that does anything. Probably not, but because now I've started the stream, it doesn't like changing its own values. But never mind. Hello, everybody. Yes, for anyone who's been on the Discord this week, I have just put out my new version of the cover of Linkin Park's Leave Out All the Rest, which, funny story, on Monday morning I was in the studio because I've been re-filming and filming a lot of things this week to try and tie up a lot of projects. And just for fun, Glenn Fricker had started his Monday morning mix metal program. I sent that song over like, hey, check this out. And overwhelmingly the comments were, I don't like the vocal. Which is interesting because no one said anything about the mix, which tells me that I'm doing something right, you know, positives. So I thought, right, here we go. Because I already had the microphone set up and ready to go for a different project. So I re-recorded the vocal for that song. I did 10 takes pretty much in a row. And then quickly comped it and then sent that over to the same show because Glenn was still live with the same show and said, right, here it is, updated. What do you think now? And everyone said, yeah, it's great. So, That's what you get when you're stubborn and redo it. I had been umming and ahhing all week because some people were saying, "Oh, the one that I did sounded great," and a few people were like, "Nah, vocals could be better," and that sticks in your mind a little bit. So it's like, ah. So yeah, redid it, all good. But yes,
Good stuff.
yes. Hello, everybody who's coming in. We've got Chris, Andre, Harry, Rumi, Al, Danny, Marty. Hello, everybody. I'm drinking a large wine. What flavour is it? Large. It's been a long week because I've been looking after Ivory all week. But yes, I have finished the video for Red 7, which will be released on Monday. I can't remember what else I've done. Oh, the video for Line 6 for the HX Stomp is ready. If any of those haven't already gone out to the Patreon supporters, I will be doing that after this stream. I've got a couple of videos that are almost finished. A review of the Eve Audio SC207s, which I'm very much liking and keeping. And a video for Cranbourne Audio's EC2 with the Camden preamps, which I've been using pretty much all the time recently. So yeah, they'll be finished soon, uploaded, Patreon, all that kind of good stuff. Hopefully either tomorrow night or Saturday morning, I'm going to be filming my parts for the cover of Tom Sawyer by Rush. That's going to be interesting. Last week I mentioned I had the bass pedals. That's now all set, ready to go at the studio. But behind me I have a little pile of things that I need to take to make it work. Like I've got an extra camera down there. The amp that I'm using for the bass tone actually needs a foot switch plugged in the back to enable both channels at once, which is really annoying, and I forgot. But it's the Tech 21 Landmark. It's a real design oversight, but they don't make that amp anymore, so they don't care.
Fair enough.
What else? The remote control for the slider, so I can have a slide-in shot. Didn't have the remote control, so that didn't work. I've got some other little things to tidy up my wireless kit and box. Al says, will the Lewitt 940 be my go-to mic for Tom Sawyer? Yes, it will. I've got a setup in the live room, which me and Liam were playing with on Monday and having lots of fun, where I've got the Arturia Keylab 88 Mark II, which is the top of the range controller keyboard that Arturia do. That wasn't a freebie. We bought that as the go-to keyboard for the Studio 4 ever. And that is awesome. And we were having so much fun controlling all the different sounds.
Yeah, too much fun.
Yeah, it was great. But
this is not what we're meant to be doing right now, but let's just do more.
Sometimes you just need to have a bit of fun, don't you? And just stop being boring for a bit. Which, it was a lot of fun. So,
I'm just loving the way that sequences can make you feel like you can play keyboard even when you can't.
Yeah, that's how electronic music was born. It's like, I wonder what this button does. Oh, a song.
I'm not gonna lie, there were a couple of moments where I was like, I'm a keyboard god. Pressing all the buttons, knowing quite well that the subtle difference of me pressing the keys is not really doing that much to the sound.
Yeah. It's funny because it's true.
You just stop and you go, oh no, wait, I can tell the difference, I think. Yeah, I'm a god. Carry on.
Yeah, so that's all ready to go, but I ran out of filming time and didn't have half the kit that I needed. But it's all the details. The devil is in the details. Because, of course, being who I am, I have to record it with 6 cameras. And it has to be lowest action on the bass and all that kind of stuff. Why not? So when I do it, he said do-do. Then it will be ready to go. The project is literally going to be open and hit record. Once I've got the other cameras in place, hit record. Yes. And then I'm filming with John Brown for all his stuff on Saturday. And then we're filming a music video. Well, we're not filming the music video. We're in the music video on Monday with Monuments. Although I think me and Liam are going to be filming the behind-the-scenes stuff, so that'll be fun. If that pans out, I think it will. So lots and lots of things coming up over the next week that hopefully we'll be able to show you some photos or videos of. But in the meantime, let's see what we've got in the chat. Mike says, about to get started on Reaper. I know nothing about that stuff. Or mixing going to be fun? Well, good luck. My advice would be start now. Start as soon as you can. Dive right in. Don't be afraid to push buttons and do things. If you think you're going to do it wrong, good. Do it 10 times and eventually it'll be less wrong. And eventually 20 years down the line, it might sound all right. I'm exaggerating, of course, but that's kind of how I did it. So, yeah, cheers.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry says, how is the COVID situation in the UK? Oh, I've said it now. I'm going to upset the great algorithm. But it's not that bad, I'm inclined to say now. Many, many, many people are testing positive and catching it. But it seems that kind of the worst possible outcome is happening a lot less than it did originally.
Mm-hmm.
So...
It's up 3 times. So, yeah, people expiring is up 3 times from the sort of November time, but the amount of people with it is up
way
times.
more, yeah.
So well, yeah. Let's say 10 times. So it's
it is 10 times.
Not like completely nothing, which is what people are starting to feel, but in the grand scheme of things, that only accounts for people that are actually registered. As you say, the amount of people now that have it and are not in these figures, I reckon the figures are probably like 30% of what the actual numbers are as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Going and getting the PCRs and registering it and logging it. Some people are just staying at home. So
yeah, it was interesting that they said you don't need a PCR now.
Yeah, which means they don't log the numbers.
Yeah,
they don't know. So yeah, so fingers crossed. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Like with the percentage chance of anything really bad happening now with all the jabs and everything, like it's getting lower and lower. So I think for me, this year's about trying to get back to normal.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely it. It's not a problem. It's just better than it was.
Yeah, and I think in the UK, like globally, I do personally still feel there's like mutations can happen. So we don't know what the next thing could be bad again, or it could be even better, and it just turns into a cold. But I doubt that's going to happen in the UK. There's not enough people here for the pot to mutate enough, sort of thing. I don't think so. Just crack on and go film some stuff.
Yes. Talking of cracking on, let's talk about the news.
What's going on this week then?
So, more news from CES, which is in Las Vegas, which is the tech show of the year. It's kind of like NAMM, but for more traditional tech. So, there's a couple of things that have stood out. One, which is our headline, is mind control earbuds. This could be the start of a very interesting set of technology if this actually works. So, a music tech startup called Wise Ear have been developing technology that allows you to use your thoughts to control a smartphone's basic playback controls. So, using specialized earbuds, it can do things when you're thinking of raising the volume, skipping to the next track, or muting the audio completely. So, yeah, apparently it captures data from inside your ears by some sort of EEG, but uses an AI algorithm with that to work out what you mean by what your body is doing. So I don't know if it's kind of semi-movement based or whether it's using, I don't know. It must be using, I mean, if it's got EEG, then that's echocardiogram. So it's based on heart stuff. So it's based on blood flow. So you just decide that your ears are going to change channel and they do it. So, yeah, bizarre. But yes, neuronal biosensing. That sounds like some made-up marketing word. Neuronal. Is a thing. But this is the start of a new technology, and if this works, any technology like this, of course, once the basics are established, then comes finesse. Then comes refining the technology, making it more accurate, more sensitive, more complex range of commands. Before you know it, this is how you go from a basic thing that seems useless to a grand concept that can change the world.
Yeah, I think all of this is probably the next big sort of wow that will come out. Like, I've seen quite a few stuff like neural net. Is it neural net? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elon Musk company.
Yes, that's the other side of it. That's the data side of it more than the detection side of it. But yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right.
they've got transmitters and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And there was there's like loads of other companies. You know, like eye tracking was like a brand new thing a few years ago. Now there's loads of different ways.
Yeah.
Like this, I saw a video with Jacksepticeye just playing a game using his mind, and he was like, "This is really weird."
Terrifying.
He was just looking at stuff, and it was then clicking on it, but there was nothing other than a little strap on the back of his head. There was no cameras in front of him tracking any of it.
Ah.
So
Oh,
it's all happening.
Al says EEG is brainwaves rather than EKG, which is the heart stuff. So right, I don't know what that stands for, but yes.
Yeah, the thing that Jacksepticeye was using was that sort of stuff. It was just like two things on the back of his head here.
Yeah. So if they've managed to work out a way of doing that through the ear canal, that could be far more.
It's not that far away from where he had them.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Well, it's interesting.
That's pretty cool. That'd be a lot more easy, like a lot easier to wear, wouldn't it? You're not wearing a weird thing on the back of your head.
Well, society gets used to things. I mean, but yes, anything like that is more convenient would definitely sell quicker and have quicker adoption. Definitely, you see a lot of like
feel like a bit of a numpty wearing it. Do you know what I mean?
No, but like if you'll see some like profoundly deaf people with hearing aids that attach to the skull, it's already a thing. That's not the same technology, but that already exists in the world. And if that was normalized, I can't see. I mean, it would take a big societal push for that to be. I mean, we come to the same problem, don't we? As like the Google Glass, where if it's like similar but not the same as what we know, people react kind of badly.
Yep.
But it doesn't take long from that point to refine it to a point like if you've seen the modern like Google Glass, which just looks like thick rimmed glasses.
Yeah.
That won't freak people out anymore. You know, it's but that's evolution of technology in action, and this is very much the beginning. Oh, Danny says yes. Electroencephalogram. Yes. Thank you. I thought that might be what it stood for, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot by saying the wrong thing, so thank you very much. I'm not just saying, oh, I thought it was that. Like, I come from a medical family, but I have had a small part of a large glass of wine at this point, so there you go. But yes, the other one was a soundbar with invisible headphones. So it's not actually invisible headphones, it's beamforming technology. Beamforming is something that's been around in audio and in radio for a long time. In fact, that's how a lot of modern high-tech Wi-Fi routers work. They have a thing called MIMO, multiple in, multiple out, and a lot of them conjoin that with a technology called beamforming, because traditional Wi-Fi hotspots, they just shout the radio signal out in all directions, which is great, but what if you're on one side of a house? There's no point in you shoving half of your signal into the wall. So what modern ones do with beamforming is they work out where your phone or laptop or whatever is in the house, and they use an antenna that points in that direction and basically really blast the Wi-Fi signal in that direction and receive it in that direction. So using a similar technology in audio, I can see that being very useful, using kind of parabolic transmission. So yes, smart beaming technology. Apparently the onboard camera, tracks your head movements. So there is a device that works out where to beamform to. And so it's hyper-directional, and apparently if you're sitting next to somebody, you can hear 10% of the actual volume. That's impressive. But yeah, parabolic transmission and all those kind of things where it can send out things that are out of phase in certain directions so it cancels out. Very, very clever. I would really be interested in trying this kind of thing. And I wonder, I mean, this is getting into the old jokes about dystopia and, you know, like targeted advertisements in the street where the billboards are shouting ad noise at you. I mean, right now they don't do that because everybody around you would be upset with the kind of the noise pollution. Whereas if it's specifically targeted so that it can't really be heard other than kind of in your specific direction.
There's too many privacy things at the moment. You won't be able to anyway.
Maybe not. But again, society's changing at such a scary pace. What's wrong for us could be entirely normalized 20 years from now. But things like this technology that make it less and less polluting and less, kind of generalized, who knows?
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, imagine walking down the street and you can hear a specific thing that's being beamed at you as you move because the technology's advanced enough that it can track you with the camera quickly enough that it just tracks you. And nobody else can... Yeah. I mean, everybody else, by the sound of it, would be able to hear it, but just in a very unobtrusive level. Who knows? But yeah, those are things at CES, and generally when things are CES, it's either one of two things. It's either this product is coming out in 6 months, someone like Intel or AMD, or it's something like this, where it's like, this could be the future. So yeah, this could be the future. So, moving on. Orange have just announced their Guitar Butler pedal. They recently released the Bass Butler pedal, which was advertised by a rather cringeworthy advertisement with V-Man from Slipknot sat in full mask and shouting for a butler. It was weird, but it did sound good. So Orange have now made basically the Orange amp sound in a pedal. With a DI out. So you can take just this to a gig if you like. It's got FX loops, so you can have things like reverbs and delays in that, so that goes out the XLR out as well. It's got 2 channels with different gains and a 3-band EQ. The dirty channel has a presence knob. Colin from CS Guitars has done a video about this already. He doesn't call them JFETs, he calls them JFETs, probably because he has a master's in like electronical engineering or something like that. He actually knows what he's talking about, so he calls them the proper name, and I probably should, but the letter J doesn't sound like J in my vocabulary, and it feels weird. It feels dirty to say something other than J. But, of course, Colin is right. He's correct. So, yes, there we go. I'm going to assume that these sound decent for a solid-state pedal. But yeah, it's got an included 18-volt power supply. And they are... Is there a price? Yes. Ooh, $400-ish, 400 euros, $429 US. So not cheap, but could be the answer if you're doing a fly rig and you like the Orange sound and you don't know what amp you're going to be plugging into. That could answer some things for you, or you might not be plugging into an amp at all. It's definitely an option.
Worth the money?
Don't know. Without trying one, don't know.
Make it worth the money.
If you plug into it and it sounds absolutely incredible and you don't need a full several £1,000 amp rig, would make it worth the money. And so without actually trying one, that's the key. If it sounds fantastic, I mean, if it really sounds like an Orange amp, I can see myself buying one, because then in the studio I can patch it through a valve amp and all that kind of stuff, and suddenly I've got an Orange, without needing to spend the £1,000 plus on an Orange. Because Orange amps do have a specific sound, and yeah, there you go. So yes, that's a thing for a particular person. Let's see how many they sell. Now, move on. Presonus have launched Studio One 5.5, and apparently it's got new mastering tools. So it's got things on the project page. I've not actually used Studio One myself. As everybody knows, of course, I use the one beginning with the letter R and ending in IPA. But there's a listen bus which helps you so you can hear through room correction plugins. Oh, right, great. So that's like a monitoring output, which we use in Reaper to use things like SonarWorks or the Slate VSX without that bleeding onto your renders. But they've got one of them now. The project page is something. Apparently, you can now export multiple formats at once, which is great. There are target loudness options, so you can test whether it's going to be the right loudness for particular streaming services. What else we got? You can drag any MIDI file to the chord track just to get the chords out of it. That's clever. But yeah, it seems like relatively small updates because it's version 5 and it's a free update. So if you already have Studio One 5, just go and get it. It's there for you right now. Now, next, Walrus Audio, one of their most famous pedals is the slow pedal, which does these big ambient reverb and delay type things. Reverbs, I should say, not delays, but they are kind of big clouds of ambience. And now they've done one called the Slotva or Slotve or something like that. It's got umlauts in a circle over the A. Slotve, I guess. And so it does a lot of the same sounds with presets in a clicky button. So, because one of the problems, if you could call it a problem with the original slow pedal, is it made some amazing sounds, but you found one sound and you just couldn't touch it.
Right.
Because then it's that sound, and if you start moving things, it's a very different sound. And you'd have to remember where it was, and oh boy. But now what you can do is you can save a sound as a preset, and you can have 2 more sounds. So in the middle of a show, you can click through, and it's all still analog, but it's controlled with a preset digital thingy-ding. And so, yes, that means that you can have different sounds from the same pedal live. And I do like pedals that have more than one use. Because unless it's a very specific thing like a wah pedal, where I want that to do a wah and not a lot else, then I do get annoyed when I've got to have a field of pedals because this one does that, this one does this one does that. I do like it when I can have at least a pedal that can do 2 things, maybe even 3. My video on the HX Stomp, when that's coming out, you'll see that I do this actually. There's a thing on it called snapshots. And so I actually set one preset up that I could use for the entire show, because this thing called snapshots, you can change the knobs and the settings on everything with one click while staying in the same preset. So I've got a nice kind of clean bass tone, and I click a button and suddenly it's got loads of gain on the amp and that kind of thing, but it's not had to change away from what I was doing. It just kind of puts every control in the right place. Very, very useful. And so, yeah, multi-use is very much the future with this kind of stuff. And yeah, £200. It's the kind of thing, €239. Oh, so it's only £209 at Thomann, because then you'll be adding VAT of 20% on that, which, oof, that stings a little. But yeah, this is the kind of pedal where if you like your big ambient washy stuff, this is probably the thing for you. And it does a thing that no multi-effects pedal I know of does, the exact thing this does. So if that's your sound, go get it. Listen to the video that Henning Pauli did on this. He gets some really nice big ambient tones out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Moving on, minimal audio. We talked a little while back, several weeks ago, about a plugin called Rift and how it was making some really awesome weird sounds. They've now released a free plugin called Rift Feedback Lite. So their weird and wacky feedbacking system in here that can make things sing as they should. it's kind of like a delay thing, but not quite. Is there and is now free, and they also do the filter light for free as well, so you can really play with some crazy stuff. Apparently, it is going to become a paid plugin for $29 US. So if you want to play with it, go and get it now, because it is there on the Rift website, the Minimal Audio website. Minimal.audio is the website. That's nice. That's on brand. I like it. Now, here's one that really interests me. The Rode VideoMic Go 2. So I've got a Rode VideoMic Go in the studio, and I use it for like behind the scenes stuff. It's a small shotgun mic that sits on top of mic. Yep, they're standard. They're pretty decent. They do a job. And the version 2 is very interesting because the thing they've added is USB connectivity. And you might think, oh, whoop-de-doo, USB. But what that means is it can now be used with things like phones, or if you've got a camera that's got a USB input that takes audio, because a lot of them do things like that now, or anything. You could probably use this with a laptop, or use it with the... oh dear. You could use this with your laptop, so you could use this while you're out on the road and you're just doing like a webcam type thing, but if you want actual good sound, and then take it and stick it back on your proper camera later. Like I was saying, I like multi-use things. This now expands the scope and capability of what this can do. And as an extra bonus, if you are plugging it in via USB to something like a phone or a laptop, you can plug the 35mm output into headphones and use it as a headphone monitor, so you can hear what the mic's supposed to sound like in real time. There's no controls on it. It doesn't need any batteries, so it either is powered, I guess, by the mic input on your camera or by the USB port, which makes it useful. So there is a Rode app, so you can change the high-pass filter, boost, pad, input level, headphone output level, all that good stuff. It's a little more expensive than the original mic Go, but it's got more functionality, so depending on what you need, there you go. Maybe
So,
go.
why USB and not just like one of these?
Oh, it's got one of them. It's got that too. But that would work with your phone with dongle. But the fact that it's USB full stop means you can use it with anything USB rather than just an iPhone or...
So if I got a Lightning to USB dongle and put that on the end of there, then it wouldn't work as a USB mic.
Not on the end of that. No, because that doesn't send a USB signal. But this has got is it USB-C connection on the side, I think. If you get a USB-C to Lightning cable like this one that I have right here, that would make it work with your phone, and it would be able to, through the Rode app, do all the fancy schmancy sound changing-y stuff, to use a technical term. And to drink a little more wine. I feel like I need some cheese to go with this wine. Cheese and wine. It is USB-C. There we go. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, Solar Guitars, Ola Englund's company, has released its first HSS model, the AB 1.6 TBS. I don't usually tend to report on new guitar models because they're not, that interesting on their own. But this is kind of, the traditional hot Strat setup, so to speak. And I kind of like this setup. I mean, I don't use the middle pickup very much myself, but I like having a single coil neck pickup. I find them to be quite kind of expressive. It does have an Evertune as well, which means that you've got this kind of weird in-between of the super modern Evertune and the vintage style single coil thing.
Yeah.
But I think more and more guitarists are leaning towards using cleaner sounds. Have you heard any Polyphia? Like Tim Henson from Polyphia?
No.
That whole kind of genre is really cool. It's kind of like imagine if hip hop had really complicated clean guitar parts in it. It's
Mhm.
and no vocal, no rap. It's all like instrumental, but with that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's really kind of cool. But that single coil tone really suits that kind of music because it's really spanky and really clean and really kind of there's an edge to the notes, but it's not like hair metal edge. It's more of a clarity. But then the fact that you can click back to a kind of a high gain screaming humbucker bridge pickup there means that it's very versatile. So these should start shipping around 20th of February. It's very pretty. It's got that kind of sunbursty kind of effect, almost like a traditional Strat type thing. Although it looks nothing like a traditional Strat, it's got that kind of vibe in the paint finish, which is really interesting for Solar to try something like this. I kind of like it. But yeah, 24 frets is very much the kind of shredder thing that honestly nobody uses the top 2 frets, let's be honest. I mean, for 99% of people, they're there for show and they're there for doing that one big bend that you do when you're showing off. But yeah, I mean, that's a personal preference thing because I like to remove those frets and actually move the neck pickup further up to get a different sound. But that could just be me. And that's fine. So yeah, there you go. Go and get it. It's probably around €1,000 for one of those because that's the general price bracket of the Solar stuff. And with it having the Evertune, it's going to be around that price point. But yeah, you can pre-order it now if that's your kind of thing. I may as well do the other guitar news while I'm here. PRS have just announced their SE model of the Silver Sky. Talking about single coils and the Stratocaster type thing, guess what this is? Very stratty. It's got the extra cuts you can get up there, but this one does have, I think it's 21 frets? 22 frets rather than the 24. And you can actually see here where this neck pickup is. That's where on the Solar, the 23rd and 24th fret would be. So to compromise, they've had to shove that pickup down a bit, which changes the sound because as you move them, that changes the sound. It's part of one of the reasons why classic Stratocasters sound the way they do is they can have that single coil pickup so far up the neck that it doesn't have that ice pick kind of sound when you're really smacking it, which is how you get that kind of clean blues, Stevie Ray Vaughan-ish kind of thing. And obviously the John Mayer kind of thing, because of course that's whose signature guitar this is. Personally, I quite like the design on these. I don't know how close this is to the US model. It's got a slight difference that it's got slightly less round radius on the neck, and it's got probably just lower spec everything compared to the US model, because if it's $3,000 or something for the US model, this is going to have to go £895. So we're looking around €1,000, $1,000. So not ultra cheap, but it can't be if it's a PRS and it's a signature model, of course. But the original inspiration for the Silver Sky was a very early 50s Stratocaster, which John Mayer, apparently his favourite one, he says like he could put it in his hands, close his eyes, and he knows where he is all the time.
Right.
It's one of those things, and apparently when he got the Silver Sky from Paul Reed Smith, he could do the same. He closed his eyes and it was the same guitar, which is impressive. But that was with the USA team, with kind of the kind of wood and craftsmanship that comes with 20 or 30 years of building and collecting. This is made in World Instruments in Korea, which doesn't make it a bad guitar. It just means it doesn't have the same approach because it has to be built to a price point. But from what I've heard, the World Musical Instruments factory makes really good instruments. I've had a PRS SE, which sounded great, and I've got a video coming out next week with Red 7, where I actually borrowed one of John Brown's PRS SE models with P90 pickups in, and it sounded fantastic. So, yeah, it's certainly not going to be a bad instrument. There you go. Now to an interesting piece of software. This is the Tone Gym Chord Progression Generator.
Tone Gym, that sounds like the exact sort of thing for you.
Yes.
Tones and gyms.
Yes, I'm going to work out my tones in the gym. Wait, what? So apparently it's one of those tools where if you are a little bit stuck and you're trying to come up with something that's similar to what you've got but a bit more interesting, so it's not just the same 4-chord loop for 10 minutes or 3.5 minutes as it would be on Spotify now, then it can change things, invert the same chords with different keys, so it's got a different sound even though it's the same chords. I think that's the idea of it, actually. Yeah, it's not just a chord generator, it's a chord progression generator. So, yeah, it can change intervals and fingerings, which would actually be quite useful for someone like me because I can bash away on a piano, but I didn't stick with piano lessons for long enough to really ingrain some of the weird and slightly off-standard versions of the same chords, which do sound different. I mean, I can play 3 different versions of a C chord with one hand that all sound different, but it's still a C major chord. But I tend, when I'm improvising, to land on just one of them because I didn't, put the hours in to just naturally fall on any of them. But that means that if I'm going like C, G, A, F, it sounds like a preschool kid doing it. Whereas there are some really well-trained pianists, jazz pianists, classical pianists, who can make those 4 chords sound nice and interesting and not have to move their hands around like some sort of child, because they've got all these fingerings and progressions in them at the head. And I would imagine that this kind of software would really help me if I go, hey, I've got these 4 chords, I want to do something really nice with them, help. So this is the kind of thing that, could help me. I don't have the hours in the day, unfortunately, to do an entire training program. Start your daily musical workout. Yeah. I'm in a stage of my life where my daily workout involves large lumps of iron rather than hammer keys on a piano. But I can see myself using something like this and enlightening myself musically. So yeah, the chord generator is at tonegym.co. So yeah, if you're interested, there's Tone Gym and there's Sound Gym as well. So yeah, check them out. I see that Al is putting our Discord in the chat as well as our Patreon link. So just before we move on, quick shout out. Thank you, Al. If you want to join in our discussion after the show and during the week in between releases of videos, do join our Discord. The link is right there. Feel free to stop by, say hello. And we have nice categories where you can drop questions in that I will probably be able to answer because I'm connected to it by the Black Mirror. And yes, if you do want to help out the channel, there is a Patreon /HopPole Studios where we very much appreciate everything that you do for us. Thank you, everybody. And if we have videos ready, we do release them to you when we can, up to a week early. We generally can't do it any further forward than that because the companies would kill us. But hey. So, moving on. What have we got? Just a quick one. If you like the idea of these tiny amp heads, the Friedman, the Diesel, and the Bogner, which I have tried and they are all awesome, they are now 20% off on those. So yeah, my favorite was the Diesel. I think Glenn Fricker's favorite was the Friedman, and John Brown's favorite was the Bogner. So it's interesting how different people gravitate to different things. The diesel just had a meanness to it. Although because it's a 30-watt amp rather than a 100-watt valve amp, I had to have the deep control all the way at full just for it to kind of move some air. But when it did move some air, it sounded really good.
Yeah.
Just don't expect to dial the exact same settings in as you would on something like a full VH4. Use your ears and your judgment, and you can get some sounds that you really like. And yeah, they are down now to €239 rather than $299, which means that if you were planning on getting semi-serious about tone, stick this on a 2x12 and put that in your office or your bedroom or whatever, and you can get some serious tones. It might even be loud enough for band practice, because they did blow us away at 42 Gear Street 3. And so it's time for, as somebody in chat just mentioned, Behringer Corner, Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner. So there's an update on the Syn Cushion development. So not much news from Behringer this week, but something. So this has got lots of sliders and a knob in the middle and a couple of switches there. And so Syn Cushion, there we go. So this will be faders and things to do with classic percussion, where you press play and you sequence it so it does the classic kind of thing. And yeah, the Pearl Syn Cushion is what they are copying. Of course, Pearl, the makers of drum modules and drums, of course, but they also used to make guitar pedals. I somewhere have a Pearl flanger from the 70s. And they obviously got out of that game years and years ago because nobody knows them for that. But I got one. I don't have the box, I don't think. Which is a shame, because that's the JHS thing, right? He has the box. But yes, apparently these are being designed to fit into your rack. So if you want to have one of these that triggers other instruments as a classic hands-on sequence trigger and also makes noise, this could be exactly the kind of thing for you. Oh, apparently it's the precursor of the Simmons SDS-V. That's interesting, because I've played with the Simmons SDS before, and they're a lot of fun. If you've ever seen the cliched 80s electronic drum kit with the hexagonal pads, they were the Simmons kits. They call them the wrist breakers, because the pads were just solid. So if you hit them hard enough, it just hurt. But they were the ones that did things like the EastEnders theme, that do 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 do. All the cheesy 80s drum sounds that were done like that were from Simmons. So this is the precursor to that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting 2 words put together in this sentence. Behringer apologizes.
No.
For how long everything is taking in light of the global problem. But yes, something. So yeah, that's why Behringer Corner's been rather empty over the last couple of months, is that supply chain issues mean that no one ain't getting nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Which double negatively means someone's getting something? But yeah, there you go. A prototype board has been made. And of course, anyone who works in engineering will tell you that putting a prototype together is relatively easy. Sourcing the parts to make 10,000 of them, less so. That's always a problem with designing a piece of gear like this, is that if you want to keep the price reasonable, you can't use anything custom. You have to use things that are readily available off the shelf, and they have to be actually available to buy. For them, not for you. They have to be able to buy them in units of large to make them available to you. Such is engineering life, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be a big problem. So that was the news. Talking of scarcity of parts, Cosmic Terror Cabs, a builder based in the Netherlands, put out an Instagram post saying they need people's help this week because they may stop being cab builders full time because the price increase on wood is terrifying. It seems like because Cosmic Terror cabs are made of wood that is like an inch thick. They are monsters. They're usually used by like doom metal bands and people like that, where it's seriously about like ultra earth shattering tone. And they're made out of custom woods and they're made really nicely. They're not cheap, but the cost of that kind of super rare wood apparently is going up threefold.
Mm-hmm.
So that means they're in trouble. Now,
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to affect companies like, say, PRS Guitars for a while, because they're the kind of guys who will have seen this price hike coming. They have a rather large bank account and they've gone to all the wood manufacturers now and said, I want all of it.
Yeah, but this is the problem, though. There isn't any.
No, but they'll have done that 6 months ago or 12 months ago. That's my point, is companies that big will have already done this and kind of not helped with the upcoming problem. But that's why, I mean, like companies like that, they quite often have wood in the vault for 10 years. But guys like Cosmic Terror, who that's a one-person builder, they don't have that luxury. So
Yeah, I mean,
they're getting hit first.
Yeah, I agree with that. But in general, just supply chain issues around the world, like it hit out of nowhere, and then there's just been a chain reaction since then of just everything's out of stock still, and then the whole Suez Canal thing just made it all even worse. So we're still reeling from all of that. So
that's very true. What I'm getting at is some of the companies who can stockpile or could stockpile they will still be affected, but not yet. But they will. But it is an inevitability at this point, isn't it? Some companies may be better prepared, maybe, but some
all the people will get hit worse and harder, yes.
And
but
first, yeah,
everyone's been hit this day. Wood prices. I mean, this is the thing. So I think what it more likely is that bigger companies can afford to pay the higher prices rather than they can stockpile it or get it at a cheaper price, because that just doesn't happen. It's like oil and gas at the moment. Like if you had to renew your utilities right now, you'd be absolutely screwed because it's like 3 times the price it was last year.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it because there's no oil or gas. So everything's like that. It'll all sort itself out. Inflation is transitory. We'll all be fine.
Yes. Yes, indeed. But yeah, I really would like one of Cosmic Terror's cabs. Unfortunately for me, not being a Doom fan, it's too expensive for me as a guy who is mad about cabs. If you can believe that. That some of their cabinets, like the 6x12s and that kind of stuff, we're looking at €2,000 at current prices. But they're made with inch thick wood. They're the kind that you move with a forklift. But they are truly beautiful. But it's a real shame that this guy's made a very kind of solid place for himself in the niche market of Doom cabs. I mean, I've seen Doom bands that have got Cosmic Terror cabs, and it's a mark of distinction. Absolutely is. Like, if you see a Doom band and they turn up and they've got 2 or 3 Cosmic Terror cabs on stage, before they even play, you know they're serious. Because it's the kind of thing you don't invest in unless you are serious, when you can get like a half decent cab secondhand for 250 quid. You know, yeah, if you're a tone hunter, yeah. But yeah, I do feel bad about that. Yeah, so there you go. Al does say, thank you, Al, if you live in the UK and are interested in a Hot Pole Studios mug, I even dare say the whole of Europe, please join the Discord, because we're still sorting the shipping costs, but we are getting round to it. But yes, the joke that I was going to put up, which I've not done yet, is that we are selling NFTs, which is our non-fictional tea holders, the mugs. We're not selling anything digital, don't worry. We're selling non-fictional tea holders. So, yes, mugs.
Mugs. You're a mug.
Thank you very much. I guess. But yes, we are going to be selling those mugs as soon as we sort out shipping, because that also helps to support the channel, is merch. I have now a box full of mugs, and we want to give them to you for a price. And that supports us and keeps us going. And thank you, Al, for the super chat as well. Super chats are, of course, always welcome. That is massively appreciated. So yes, if you have appreciated Behringer Corner and Zinduos, then that does help us out. There's so much going on behind the scenes, but I didn't say this at the start of the stream because I know I say this far too often and it gets a little bit annoying at the top of the stream saying, oh, there's loads of things we can't talk about. But it's funny that a lot of the projects that were happening early last year have now all been announced. You know about them all, like the all the stuff I've been doing with Two Notes, with Ashdown and Laney and all that kind of stuff. That's out now, and I can tell you about it all, and it's great. But now it's a new year, and now I'm getting emails from companies going, hey, it's time for the next round. Ding, 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 ding. And I'm going, awesome. Can I tell anybody? No.
No.
It's like, not yet. Oh, poo. So very soon I'm going to be jumping up and down wanting to tell you all about the next phase. One of my next projects I can tell you about is I need to finalize using the Dynamount, because my scripting for the Dynamount is getting close to completion now. I now have a thing in Reaper where I press a button and it makes me a track, and then it puts a sine wave sweep on the track, and then it arms the track, and then it makes a new track and gets that set for record, and then it records what's going to be happening through the Dynamount. The next step is now to move the Dynamount into place using the script, so I don't have to press anything. And I've actually got it to do that outside of Reaper's scripting now, using their own API. So now I need to integrate their API into Reaper. And I was reading last month, watching videos and reading up about Reaper's script and API and coding. And I sat there and nearly cried. Because coding is difficult on, the best of days. But doing it with an API that I can't tell anyone about because of NDAs that you have to sign, with an API where the documentation is not the best, is like, oh, help. And of course, because half of it's under NDA, I can't just shout to the community and go, help me, please, do the thing. Because then they go, well, what do you want to do? And it's like, well, I want to do this. What with? Can't tell you. Well, then I can't help you. Oh. Womp womp. Back to the coding drawing board. But yes, tomorrow I'm going to release that Linkin Park cover on YouTube. I already did it on Instagram, and I don't know why I did that first, but I did. Oh, that's right. I only didn't release the Linkin Park cover today because the podcast is today, and I didn't want the two to conflict. But yes, my Eve review is coming, Cranbourne audio is coming, Rush cover's coming. My big list is getting smaller, and that is good, because that means I can finally start thinking about the next round of videos. I've got 5 videos that I'm currently doing for Warren and Produce Like a Pro, 2 of which I finished 2 minutes before the podcast went live, would you believe? And there's a couple of plugins coming out that I know about because of Produce Like a Pro that I'm so excited to talk about, but the NDA releases for them are next week. So I will be able to talk about them on the next podcast because they will... Oh, yeah, the one I can't talk about will be out by then. The other one that I am working on is the Antares Auto-Tune Unlimited bundle, which is released so I can talk about it. Scott says mind control. Hi, Scott. But yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, the Antares stuff. I kind of don't use auto-tune much these days, but it turns out that the auto-tune bundle has got some really cool stuff in it that you can play with that isn't just tuning. Like, it's got harmonization plugins, it's got stuff that can remove breaths in real time but not compress everything. It's got a vocoder that sounds really nice. It's got weird and wacky and wonderful stuff in there that is going to be interesting to have in the toolbox. So,
Very stuff.
yes, I am looking forward to that. Yes, hey Scott from Chernobyl Studios, you just missed the podcast because we're about to go offline. But unless anyone's got any questions, mixing wise or otherwise, because it's good to answer everybody's mixing and tech questions. We do that on the Discord during the week, but if anyone's got anything, now's a good time. He says waiting for the 2 minutes for everyone to start typing the questions, and I'll go, nope, nothing, right, okay, bye, and then it'll come up just as we're leaving, because that's what always happens. So I should probably say I appreciate that not everybody is on the same delay. If you're in the US, then I think you get more like a 60-second delay. In the UK, it's more like 30 because of relays and all that kind of stuff. Al has mentioned our ultimate guide to Reaper, hotpoll.co/Reaper. That is a thing where you can look at our thing. Andre says, Reaper question, is it possible to meter/monitor a live microphone input without having the record button engaged? Technically, no, but I know what you're getting at, where you don't actually want to record the file down. I do this a lot. And yes, so if you hit record so you can see the meters, if you want to also hit monitor on that so you can hear it as well, you can right-click on that record arm button that you just clicked, and there are different record modes. And one record mode is record mode disabled. And in brackets, I think it says monitor only. Because then what it does is whenever you hit record, it doesn't commit that to a file, so you're not wasting file space. But you can have automatic listen through for things like compressors or EQs or whatever. I use this all the time if I'm doing a quick and dirty session for a talkback mic. So what I'll do is I'll have that not running through the master output so I don't get deafened by it through the speakers. But I will then send that through the headphone output that the singer in the vocal booth is listening to, set to a microphone, obviously, that I have in front of me. But then I can have a compressor on it, I can have an EQ on it, so that they can hear me clearly above the music. But because I right-click and go to record disable, that then doesn't get committed and printed every time I hit record. Same with a listen back, where I can have a track ready to go with an extra microphone in the live room that's got an absolutely smashed, crushed compressor on it, so that when I'm not recording, I can unmute that channel and hear everybody in the room really clearly as they talk when they're nowhere near a microphone. But by record disabling, again, I don't commit that to a track. Although I could commit that to a track if I'm doing the Phil Collins do-do-do-do-do-do kind of thing. That's the one. What's that, Scott? If a mixer could mix music, how many songs could the mixer mix? Depends on your rate, buddy. And also whether they're confident that they could mix a song. And Chris says, what about if a mixer using a mixer mixed the mix? Then, of course, your costs go up. That reminds me of talking about how costs are for mixers. I was just out of curiosity looking at how much analog tape costs these days, because it's gone down a little. There's a company called, what was it, Record the Masters, RTM, that makes tape that Toman sell. And it turns out that a 2-inch tape that can record 24 tracks at once now costs £299 for a tape that at a reasonable speed of 15 inches per second can do, I think it was 30 minutes of tape. So a 30-minute tape, 300 quid. And if you run it at double speed, which is 30 inches per second because that's got less distortion and is clearer, then you only get 15 minutes on the tape. Chris says, thoughts on crushing delay / reverb with compression. That can sound really awesome, but be careful, because that means that it's going to get way louder in a mix. Usually when you're doing something like that, you have to do two things. Firstly, get an EQ and either put it before or after the plugins, depending on where it needs to be, to really scoop out the crap, the stuff that's going to make your mix mushy, whether it be low end or whether it's honky kind of low mid or whatever it is. Then you probably have to automate it to not be there a lot of the time, because that can then be an effect that you then pull in for really cool moments. So yes, be careful with that kind of thing. It's what I call a Spider-Man technique.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I call it that, Liam?
Because you can do it while swinging from buildings.
Yes. What's the catchphrase?
Everybody gets one.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Everyone gets one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the everyone gets one, but oh yes. Oh, when it's not quite been long enough with the new Spider-Man films to talk about that yet, has it?
No, I haven't seen it myself. So
statute of limitations, but
no. That statute of limitations is when I've seen it.
Go and see it or download it and throw $10 at Spider-Man's people. It's definitely good. It's worth watching, I thought.
Yeah.
What?
Just not had time to go out yet.
That's fair. I mean, even if you don't want to go out, it's a film that's worth seeing, I thought.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be watching it. Like we came.
Have you seen the other ones? The other Tom Holland Spider-Mans?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I think you'll absolutely love it.
Yeah, seeing everything. We got
everything ever.
Yeah, we're watching Hawkeye at the moment. I'm enjoying that as well.
You seen the new Matrix film?
Yes, we spoke about it.
Oh, we did. Yes, very, very, very good.
Yeah. Interestingly, Hawkeye went from my least favorite Avenger to my favorite Avenger because of the TV show.
Oh wow!
I think he's really good. Jeremy Renner's a really fucking good actor.
Cool. He's not grown his hair out and started attacking people with a sword again, has he?
No comment. But yeah, it's just a character. It's just like got so much more depth than he has in the films. It's like really good.
Well, I suppose that's one of the sad things about films like Avengers, is that quite often you can only have characters be a foil to other characters when you've got too many going on.
Well, he never had his own film, did he? So
No.
now he's had his own series, which is arguably better, I guess. They've really been able to sort of like show the sides of the character, which then fit with the films as well. So,
that's good.
I think it's been really well done. Really enjoying it.
I've not seen Book of Boba Fett yet. I'm looking forward to that.
I haven't seen any of the Star Wars stuff. I've not even watched The Mandalorian.
I've seen the first series of Mandalorian and it was amazing, but I'm just so busy all the time. I'm not seeing series 2 yet, but there you go.
I'm not a big Star Wars fan.
Oh, one more question from Harry. Which type of compressor is suitable for a vocal, and will it be different if the situation is drums? What's suitable for a vocal depends what you want to do with it, and will it be different if the situation is drums? Yes. Because the question with what compressor to use is not which compressor do I use, it's what result do I want. What am I trying to do with the source that I have? That's an interesting one. For me, usually a good go-to compressor with a vocal is the 1176 compressor from Universal Audio, or a clone of it or a plug-in of it, because it's designed in a specific way that you can really, really be aggressive with it, and it really can make a vocal sit on top of a mix, which generally with modern pop and rock is what you want. You want your vocal to sit on the mix, not be overpoweringly loud, not get lost, just sit in one place. And so I actually do a trick if you're watching all the live mix streams, Harry. I think you've been watching them, where I use more than one compressor in a row. But generally, the 1176 or a distressor, which does a similar thing the way I use it, does the main thing with a vocal, and then the extra is just a little bonus. With drums, it depends. Is the compressor on a single drum? Is it trying to add something? What's it trying to add? Is it trying to level the volume out, or is it trying to add something like crack, or take some of that away if it's too much?
It's crack.
Crack. Shameless plug. If you haven't already, check out our Audio Essentials course from ProMix Academy on compression specifically, where I go through loads of different types of compressors, not just the model, but the entire idea, like FET-based compressors like the 76, opto-based compressors like the LA2A is one of the classic ones, and where you would use it, why you would use it. I talk about parallel compression, using different ones side by side, serial compression one into another. And so there's so much you can do with compressors that you need to know what each one does and why it does it, because then you work backwards. What you do is you go, I'm listening to this source, like a vocal or a drum. This is how it sounds. And in my mind, this is what I want. How do I get there? And then you select your tools in your mind and you go, well, this compressor does this thing, and that thing is what I want to do to this vocal. That's how I see it. I don't, these days, I don't just blindly pick compressors or EQs. In my mind, I go, I can hear the end result, or how I think the end result should be, and I know what tools I would use to get that result from what I have. So there you go. That's how
Another shameless plug.
Go on.
The TV show Shameless on Netflix is really good.
Yes, it is.
Well worth watching.
Let's just see. ProMix Academy. I can't type anymore. And unrelated, I've had a large glass of wine. Funny how those two have nothing to do with each other at all. But that is a link to the compression, delay, reverb, EQ, Audio Essentials bundle, where rather than saying, this compressor does that, this EQ does this, I go through them and I go, why would you use one of these? What does it sound like? Why are we using this? Like with EQs, I talk about how some of them can be really specific and some of them are more kind of broad and sweet and musical. What does that mean? Why do people use this brand over that brand? What's the difference? Why are they doing this? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's how I do that kind of thing. So hopefully that's of use to you. And if you haven't already bought the Ultimate Reaper course, I do believe there is the Mega Bundle. .co/Reaper Mega. Nope, that didn't work. There is a bundle, and I'm going to just quickly check on some of our videos. Somewhere on one of these descriptions. Oh, it's actually in the description of this video. The very, very top, hotpol.co/mega. We have our Mega Bundle, where I think for roughly the same price as the Audio Essentials course, you also get the Ultimate Reaper Guide included for the same price. So it's like buy one, get one free. Mm-hmm. And you know what, Harry? If you buy the course, if you buy the Mega Bundle and you on our Discord show me a receipt or something, I'll send you a mug. I'll pay for it.
Mug. Free mug.
Yeah, free mug. In fact, there you go. If anyone over the next couple of days buys the Reaper course or the Mega Bundle and jumps on the Discord and shows me
signed mug,
yes, I will sign the mug and I will send it. I actually have silver and gold autograph pens because I'm that kind of narcissist. No, it's not true. I actually have them so I can write on black on like the hard drives. That's the one copy of the studio backup from a couple of years ago. And writing on those in black is a nightmare, so I got some pens that write on them. But it does sound funnier when I make jokes about being a narcissist and having autograph pens. So
You need to sign it on the inside, though, so it slowly wears away with drinking.
yeah. We'll sign it on the outside so it wears away with grabbing. Yeah. But yeah, there you go. So thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun this evening. And I will be releasing the Red 7 video on Monday and the Linkin Park cover tomorrow. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. Join the Discord, as you will see in the link with the thanks for patrons coming up in the next couple of seconds. And we'll see you all same time next week. Goodbye.
Boy.
Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server, link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Hot Pole Studios.